Chosen one. You were right about these envious watchers racing the clock to get to you before this info is exposed. A secret is ticking like a time bomb, and the ones who moved against you in the dark are scrambling. Your spirit has felt the tension rising. You can't name it, but you feel it. Something big is shifting. Someone is terrified the truth will reach you before they do. They need your forgiveness secured before the receipts surface. The craziest part, you already know the truth. Your spirit has been assembling the pieces. Now the full picture is arriving, and that's why this season felt like war. An entire operation has been running in the background of your life. Not a coincidence, not random jealousy, not simple misunderstanding. You've survived an actual coordinated effort involving multiple people who've been studying your patterns, tracking your movements, analyzing your connections, and strategically positioning themselves to intercept your blessings. These people looked at your life like it was a game requiring victory, and you were the final boss level demanding defeat. Your wealth was recognized before you fully saw it yourself. The power in your presence was identified early. The way opportunities magnetized to you became obvious to observers. The way your mind works 10 steps ahead of average thinking caught attention. Your very existence seems to unlock doors that stay closed for others, and this reality threatened people around you. The envy wasn't about what you have. The envy was about what you are. That's why it cut so deep, so calculated, so personal. You carry something others can't replicate, can't fake, can't steal, no matter how closely you're studied. This gift is encoded in your spiritual DNA. This power is woven into your frequency. This calling is stamped on your destiny. The more imitation was attempted, the more obvious it became that copying would never produce the same results. So strategies switched. If you couldn't be copied, you needed to be destroyed. If your level couldn't be accessed, you needed to be dragged down. If your light couldn't be dimmed through competition, it needed to be extinguished through contamination. Seeds of doubt were planted in the minds of people close to you. Whisper campaigns disguised as concern began circulating. Character assassinations wrapped in fake worry started spreading. Poison was delivered with smiles and hugs. The perpetrators knew exactly what was being done, and the execution was skilled. Skilled enough that for a season, you questioned whether you were the problem. Chosen ones don't break the same way regular people do. The calculation assumed that hitting you from enough angles, causing enough chaos, creating enough confusion, would eventually make you crumble. Your breaking point was calculated and exceeded, with certainty that you'd shatter. Instead, you transformed. Every attack designed to weaken you actually strengthened you. Every betrayal that should have broken you open actually broke you through to a new level. Every lie told about you forced you to stand firmer in your truth. Every door closed by others pushed you to build your own entrance. A monster was created, and that monster is you, operating in your full power with zero tolerance for the games that used to work on the old version of you. Now let's talk about someone specific, because there's a particular energy that's been circling back around your atmosphere lately. Someone who was supposed to be your ally, your partner, your person. Whether this was romantic, platonic, or familial, this was a significant connection. Real chemistry existed here. Real potential was present. The kind of bond that could have built empires if it had been honored properly. You saw it clearly. You felt it deeply. You invested in it heavily. You showed up for this person when circumstances were at their lowest. You believed in this person when self-belief was absent. You held space for healing, growth, and mess. You were loyal when loyalty wasn't convenient. The loyalty you gave was repaid with a turned back at the exact moment. Standing beside you was needed most. This wasn't a sudden flip, though. This was a slow fade that you felt before you could prove. Conversations that used to flow easily became surface-level small talk. Emotional availability that used to be natural became forced or absent. Affection that used to be genuine became obligatory. Concerns you brought up were met with defensiveness. Questions you asked seeking clarity led to accusations of insecurity. Changed behavior you pointed out was dismissed as imagination. The person who used to validate your feelings was now making you question your own perception of reality. Something happened to this person. Someone got in close. A toxic influence slithered into the space and started feeding poison about you. This wasn't a friend with good intentions offering genuine perspective. This was a calculated manipulator who identified exactly what buttons to push, what insecurities to trigger, what doubts to magnify. Your relationship was studied like a blueprint requiring dismantling. Attacks were timed perfectly, waiting for moments of existing stress to add fuel to fire. Loaded questions were asked designed to create suspicion. Half-truths mixed with complete lies were shared. You were painted as a threat while this toxic presence positioned itself as a savior. Your person fell for it because vulnerability was present. Maybe unhealed wounds made manipulation easier. Maybe insecurities created paranoia. Maybe patterns from the past made someone easy prey. Whatever the reason, you started being seen through a distorted lens. Your confidence looked like arrogance through that lens. Your boundaries looked like control. Your standards looked like judgment. Your discernment looked like jealousy. Everything that made you valuable got reframed as problematic. Secrets started being kept. Not small ones, significant ones. Conversations were happening with people who didn't have your best interests at heart. Connections were being entertained that violated the agreements you'd made together. Situations were being participated in that would cause hurt if you found out. The whole time, justification was happening internally. Stories were being told that made someone the victim and you the villain. Narratives were created where dishonesty was somehow your fault. You were blamed for perceived wrongs that existed more in imagination than in reality. The arrogance was astounding. Belief existed that deception could be maintained indefinitely. Assumptions were made that your investment meant you'd accept anything rather than lose the connection. Your patience was mistaken for weakness. Your love was confused with blindness. Past forgiveness was taken as permission for future betrayal, regardless of severity. What wasn't understood is that chosen ones have a spiritual antenna that picks up frequencies others miss. You started noticing inconsistencies before you could name them. Disturbances were being felt before proof existed. Shifts were being sensed before visibility emerged. Your intuition was screaming, but your heart wanted so badly to be wrong. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. Then came the breaking point. Maybe you discovered something concrete. Maybe someone finally told you what had been happening behind your back. Maybe the lies became so contradictory that collapse was inevitable. However it happened, the truth hit you with force, and in that moment, everything clicked into place. All the weird behavior made sense now. All the defensive reactions had context. All the projection became clear. All the accusations thrown at you that never quite fit were actually confessions. The person had been telling on themselves the entire time, and you'd been too close to see the full picture. The pain of that revelation was visceral. This wasn't just about being lied to. This was about having your reality completely invalidated. All those times you knew something was wrong and were made to feel crazy for sensing it. All those moments you asked for honesty and received manipulation instead. All those instances where your gut was screaming truth at you and gaslighting tried to silence it. You'd been made to doubt yourself, question your perception, wonder if you were the problem. Instead of begging for explanations or fighting to be chosen, you chose yourself. You looked at the situation clearly, assessed the disrespect, recognized the pattern, and made a decision that prioritized your peace over someone's presence. You walked away from a person who'd proven your value wasn't recognized. You closed the door on a connection that required you to ignore your knowing to maintain it. You honored yourself in a way that hadn't been reciprocated. That choice changed everything. Not just in your external circumstances, but in your internal composition. Something shifted in your frequency. Something locked into place in your discernment. Something activated in your authority. You stopped making yourself smaller to make others comfortable. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were determined to misunderstand you. You stopped fighting for space in places that weren't designed to hold you. You became selective in a way you'd never been before. Protective in a way that couldn't be penetrated by manipulation. Boundaried in a way that filtered out everyone who wasn't genuinely aligned. While you were in that cocoon of transformation, The people who betrayed you were dealing with consequences nobody anticipated. The universe doesn't let things slide. Divine justice is real. Karma is mathematical in its precision. Every action creates a reaction. Every cause has an effect. Effects of their choices were starting to manifest in ways that couldn't be ignored. The person you walked away from started experiencing the reality of life without you. At first, relief might have been felt. No more questions to dodge, no more accountability to face, no more standards to try to meet, freedom to do whatever with whoever seemed attractive. But that freedom quickly revealed itself to be a prison of a different kind. The realization hit that the grass wasn't greener. The options that seemed better turned out to be downgrades. The people chosen over you showed their true colors. The situations expected to bring happiness brought stress instead. The drama that seemed exciting became exhausting. The toxic influence that had been prioritized revealed itself to be exactly what you'd warned about. Everything you said would happen started happening. Every concern you raised proved valid. Every boundary you set turned out to be necessary. Every warning you gave manifested into reality. The person had to sit with the knowledge that warnings were given, evidence was shown, opportunities to choose differently were provided, yet the wrong choice kept being made. Meanwhile, you were transforming. The pain you experienced wasn't wasted. You turned it into wisdom. You converted betrayal into better boundaries. You transformed confusion into clarity about what you will and won't accept. You used the isolation others created to develop a stronger relationship with yourself. You took the time alone to heal wounds you'd been too busy to address before. People started noticing the change in you. There was a different energy around you now. More peaceful but also more powerful. More open but also more discerning. More loving but also more boundaried. You weren't bitter, but you definitely weren't naive anymore. You weren't closed off, but you weren't letting just anyone in either. You'd found a balance between staying soft and standing strong. Let's go deeper into what these envious watchers have actually been doing, because you need to understand the scope of what you survived. These weren't casual observers hoping you'd stumble. These were dedicated monitors tracking your every move with an intensity that borders on obsession. Your schedule was known better than some of your friends knew it. When you posted was noticed. When you went silent was tracked. When you celebrated was observed. When you struggled was catalogued. Notes were being taken. Records were being kept. Cases were being built against you in minds where no basis in reality existed, but justification felt complete because your success made others feel like failures. Some of these watchers were people you'd never suspect. The mask was worn so well that genuine happiness for you seemed real. Your wins were celebrated to your face while mourning happened in private. Questions about your life were asked not because care existed, but because intelligence was being gathered. Every detail you shared became ammunition for potential future use. Every vulnerability you revealed became a pressure point filed away for future exploitation. A long game was being played while you thought genuine connections were being built. The truly sinister part is how coordination happened without your awareness. Information about you was being shared in group conversations where your name was the primary topic. Notes were being compared on your behavior, your relationships, your decisions. Consensus was being built about who you were based on distorted perceptions and projected insecurities. An echo chamber was created where everyone agreed you were the problem, and that collective agreement felt like truth, even though it was built on lies, assumptions, and envy. One person would test you with a small betrayal to see how you'd react. Another would watch how you handled that betrayal and report back to the group. Your response would be analyzed, your boundaries would be discussed, your discernment would be evaluated. If you set a boundary, sensitive became the label. If you gave grace, weak became the descriptor. If you confronted the issue, dramatic became the accusation. No matter what you did, a way would be found to frame it negatively, because the point wasn't truth. The point was maintaining a narrative that you were somehow less than what you appeared to be. These watchers had different motivations but the same target. Some envied your natural gifts and wanted to see you fail to validate their own mediocrity. Some resented your confidence because it highlighted their insecurity. Some were threatened by your potential because visibility existed that you were destined for levels beyond their reach. Some simply couldn't stand that you had something desired, whether that was talent, opportunities, connections, or the internal peace that comes from walking in purpose. A bond was formed over shared dislike of you, and that bond became stronger than any authentic relationship these people had with each other. The envious watchers didn't just watch. Interference was the strategy. Active work was done to sabotage opportunities that were coming your way. Potential connections were poisoned before those connections could fully form. Rumors were spread designed to make people think twice about aligning with you. Doubt was created in spaces where certainty about your character should have existed. Operations were being conducted like a covert ops team with a mission to ensure you never reached your full potential. Your person, the one who turned their back on you, got caught up in this web of watchers. The toxic influence that manipulated this person wasn't working alone. Connection existed to this larger network of envious energies who all had the same agenda. When your person started pulling away from you, it wasn't just about lies one person told. It was about a concentrated campaign of psychological warfare designed to create maximum distance between you and anyone who could help you build something powerful. The Watchers knew that if you and your person actually united in purpose and stayed aligned, creation would happen that couldn't be touched, couldn't be penetrated, couldn't be torn down. Recognition existed of the potential for a partnership that would elevate both of you beyond the reach of envious energies, so making it a mission to ensure that partnership never solidified became the goal. Every crack in the foundation was exploited. Every small disagreement was magnified into a major conflict. Molehills were turned into mountains, and then shock was performed when the relationship couldn't survive the manufactured terrain. What's causing panic now is that methods are about to be exposed. Screenshots exist of conversations where strategies for separating you from people who valued you were discussed. Evidence exists of coordinated efforts to damage your reputation. Proof exists of lies that were told with full knowledge of their falseness. The Watchers thought operations were being conducted in secret, but nothing stays hidden forever. Someone kept receipts, someone recorded conversations, someone took notes, someone has been waiting for the right moment to reveal what was really happening behind the scenes, and that moment is now. The information that's about to surface isn't just going to expose one person, an entire operation is going to be revealed. The Watchers are going to be identified publicly, motives are going to be questioned openly, actions are going to be scrutinized thoroughly. Reality is going to have to be faced that while busy watching you, someone was watching them. While collecting evidence against you, evidence was being collected about them. While feeling untouchable, the very paper trail being created is now being used to expose them. Your person knows about this impending exposure because participation happened, even if the full extent wasn't realized. Conversations that shouldn't have happened were participated in. Information that should have been protected was shared. Alignment with people who should have been questioned occurred. Choices were made that can't be taken back. Things were said that can't be unsaid. Now attempts are being made to get ahead of the revelation by reaching you first, with hopes that the narrative can be controlled before you hear it from someone else. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random. And if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. You don't need someone else's version of events because your spirit already showed you the truth in pieces. Every time your intuition warned you about someone, you were picking up on energy in that network of watchers, Every time discomfort was felt around certain people, hidden agenda was being sensed. Every time you pulled back from situations that looked good on paper but felt wrong in your gut, protection was being provided from entanglements with individuals who were part of this coordinated effort against you. You've been operating with divine intelligence this entire time, even when attempts were made to make you doubt your own knowing. The Watchers wanted you confused about your discernment. Your intuition needed to be doubted because as long as trust existed in what you felt, danger existed to their plans. Your ability to sense truth beneath lies, to feel intention beneath action, to know what's real beneath performance, that ability threatened everything being built against you. So overtime was worked to make you question it. Paranoid became the label when you were being perceptive. Judgmental became the accusation when you were being discerning. Negative became the claim when you were being realistic. Spiritual language was weaponized against you, with messages that more trust was needed, more forgiveness was required, more openness was necessary, more understanding was expected. What was really meant was more naivety was needed, more accessibility was desired, more vulnerability to manipulation was wanted. An agenda was dressed up in the language of growth and healing, but it was really about getting you to lower your defenses so strikes could happen more effectively. The clock that's ticking isn't just about your person needing to reach you before information drops. It's about the entire network of Watchers realizing time is up. Some are trying to distance themselves from the situation now, acting like involvement was never that deep, minimizing participation, rewriting roles in the drama. Others are doubling down, preparing defenses, getting stories straight, coordinating responses to the exposure. A few are genuinely panicking because the most is at stake when the truth comes out. There's someone in particular whose whole public image is about to crumble. A reputation has been built on being a certain type of person, having certain values, standing for certain principles. But the evidence that's about to emerge will reveal the complete opposite. A double life has been lived so convincingly that even people close to this person don't know who's really there. The envious Watcher who presents as successful and supportive is actually bitter and sabotaging. The one who seems to have it all together is actually falling apart underneath the performance. The one who positions themselves as trustworthy is actually the biggest snake in the room. This person has been particularly focused on you because you were seen as the biggest competition. Not competition for anything specific necessarily, but competition for relevance, attention, respect, opportunities. The recognition you were getting couldn't be tolerated when feelings existed that it was deserved elsewhere. Resentment built that doors opened for you, while repeated knocking was required elsewhere. Hatred grew that you made difficult things look easy, while struggles happened to maintain a facade. So making it a personal mission to dim your light by any means necessary became the goal. Work was done through proxies, using other people to do dirty work, so hands stayed clean. Ideas were planted in someone's mind, and action by that person was anticipated. Information was shared with someone knowing that person would spread it further. Situations were created, and then stepping back to watch chaos unfold became the pattern. The puppet master was pulling strings while appearing to be just another member of the audience. Masterful skills in manipulation existed, and those skills were used to turn people against you who had no legitimate reason to have issues with you. But the greatest weakness was arrogance. Belief truly existed that intelligence exceeded everyone else's. Assumptions were made that tracks had been covered perfectly. Underestimation happened regarding how truth connects dots that liars think are scattered too far apart to link. Account wasn't taken for the fact that multiple people noticing the same patterns could compare notes and see the bigger picture. Forgetfulness occurred that confidence in deception often leads to sloppiness in execution. Now it's all falling apart, and scrambling to contain damage that can't be contained is happening. Attempts are being made to reach certain people before those people talk to each other. Stories are being spun before evidence contradicts those stories. Desperate work is being done to maintain control of a narrative that's about to be demolished by facts. Realization is coming too late that betting against someone who carries the kind of protection you carry was never a winning strategy. You're not just talented or lucky or blessed by coincidence. A spiritual covering exists over your life that doesn't allow attacks to land the way the enemy intends. Every plot against you gets turned around for your good. Every trap set for you catches the person who set it. Every weapon formed against you doesn't just fail, it backfires on the one who formed it. You've been protected by forces these watchers couldn't see and wouldn't believe in, even if visibility existed. That's why you're still standing when you should have been broken by now, according to their plans. That's why you're still rising when you should have been buried, according to their efforts. That's why you're still shining when you should have been dimmed according to their attacks. Everything available was thrown at you, and you're still here, still growing, still glowing, still going toward your destiny. That alone is proof that what's on you is greater than what's against you. The exposure that's coming isn't just about vindicating you, though that's definitely part of it. It's about revealing how spiritual warfare works in practical, everyday situations. It's about showing that betrayal isn't always spontaneous or emotional. Sometimes calculation and coordination exist. Sometimes a planned operation occurs rather than an impulsive decision. Sometimes what looks like one person making a bad choice is actually multiple people executing a strategy. The truth that's about to surface will open eyes to realities most people don't want to believe exist. You're going to watch people's faces change as the information comes out. Shock will be visible, disbelief will show, anger will surface, regret will emerge, embarrassment will manifest. People who thought certain individuals were known will realize complete strangers were present. People who defended the Watchers will feel foolish for being so easily deceived. People who questioned you will understand why boundaries were maintained even when harshness was perceived by outsiders. The vindication is going to be so complete, so thorough, so undeniable that not a word in your own defense will need to be spoken. But here's what's important for you to hold on to as all this unfolds. This isn't about gloating or saying "I told you so." This isn't about rubbing anyone's face in mistakes or making people feel worse than feelings already will. This is about truth being established so you can move forward unencumbered by false narratives. This is about your name being cleared so opportunities can flow to you without interference. This is about your character being validated so the right connections can form without suspicion. When your person comes to you before the full exposure hits, trying to get ahead of what's coming, trying to soften the blow, trying to maintain some control over how perception forms, you'll need to be clear about what you're actually dealing with. This isn't someone who woke up and realized love existed. This is someone who's afraid of what you'll think when everything is known. This isn't genuine transformation. This is damage control wrapped in apologetic language. Listen carefully to what's said and what's not said. Is full accountability being taken, or is blame being spread around? Are the Watchers and personal participation in that network being acknowledged, or is victim framing happening around manipulation? Is everything being revealed, or only what's assumed you already know? Is understanding being shown of how deeply hurt was caused, or is focus more on how badly someone hurt themselves? The answers to these questions will tell you everything you need to know about readiness for the kind of relationship you offer. Real change would look like exposing the Watchers personally before anyone else does. Real transformation would sound like names being named and responsibility being taken for being influenced. Real growth would feel like sitting in the discomfort of full disclosure without trying to manage your reaction. Real accountability would include accepting whatever decision you make about the relationship without pressure, manipulation, or guilt. Anything less than that is just another performance, another attempt to control the outcome, another manipulation dressed up as maturity. You've already proven you can walk away from good actors. Rehearsed apologies don't impress you. Calculated vulnerability doesn't move you. You recognize the difference between someone who's truly humble and someone who's strategically humbling themselves to get what's wanted. Your discernment is too sharp now to fall for surface-level change. The envious Watchers are about to learn a hard lesson about the consequences of coordinated evil. Strength was thought to be in numbers, but those numbers are about to become the downfall, because the more people involved, the more evidence exists, the more witnesses appear, the more chances for truth to leak out. Building a fortress of shared secrets was the belief, but actually a house of cards was constructed that's about to collapse spectacularly. This is your season of vindication, chosen one. Not because revenge was sought, but because divine justice doesn't miss. Not because you exposed anyone, but because light always reveals what darkness tries to hide. Not because validation was needed, but because truth has a way of surfacing regardless of who tries to bury it. Everything you sensed was accurate. Every warning your intuition gave you was real. Every boundary you set was necessary. Every choice you made to prioritize yourself was right. The people who bet against you are learning what it costs to gamble with a chosen one's destiny. The ones who tried to dim your light are discovering your illumination can't be extinguished. The individuals who worked so hard to see you fail are being forced to witness you flourish. And the best part? You didn't have to do anything except keep being who you are, walking in your purpose, honoring your path, and trusting that what's meant for you will always find you, and what's not meant for you will eventually remove itself. When the exposure happens and the truth comes crashing down like a tidal wave, your position will be one of remarkable clarity. You won't be scrambling to defend yourself because the facts will speak louder than any defense you could offer. You won't be rushing to explain your side because your side will be the only one left standing when the dust settles. You won't be fighting for your reputation because your reputation will restore itself through the simple revelation of what actually happened versus what was claimed to have happened. The people who questioned your character will have to sit with the uncomfortable realization that their judgment was premature and their loyalty was misplaced. The ones who took sides against you based on carefully crafted lies will have to reckon with how easily manipulation worked on them. The individuals who watched you walk away and called you unforgiving will understand that you weren't being harsh, you were being wise, you were protecting yourself from exactly what's now being revealed. This is the part where your silence becomes more powerful than any words you could have spoken. You didn't have to argue your case in the court of public opinion. You didn't have to defend your name in every conversation where it was dragged. You didn't have to prove your innocence to people who were determined to believe you guilty. You simply stepped back and let truth do what truth always does. You trusted that light always exposes what darkness tries to conceal. You believed that authentic living always outlasts strategic lying. Your dignity in the midst of the storm will be remembered long after the storm passes. The way you carried yourself when lies were being spread will speak volumes when those lies are debunked. The grace you showed when you could have been vindictive will stand in stark contrast to the malice that was shown to you. People will look back and realize you were operating from a completely different level of maturity and consciousness than those who were attacking you. The exposure of your enemies isn't the end of your story. It's not even the best part. The best part is what you're building while others are dealing with the consequences of what was torn down. The best part is the version of yourself that emerged from the fire they tried to destroy you with. The best part is the wisdom you gained, the boundaries you established, the discernment you sharpened, and the power you stepped into because you refused to stay in situations that diminished you. You're not the same person who entered this battle, and that's the real victory. You're not as naive, you're not as accessible to manipulation, you're not as willing to ignore red flags for the sake of maintaining connections that cost you peace. You've learned to value your energy as the precious resource it is. You've discovered that not everyone deserves access to you, and that's not arrogance, that's wisdom. You've realized that protecting your space isn't about building walls, it's about installing gates that only open for people who've proven they know how to honor what's on the other side. So when someone comes racing to your door with apologies and explanations, when desperation shows up trying to get back in your good graces before the full truth emerges, when attempts to rewrite history and minimize harm begin, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. Not genuine transformation but damage control. Not real accountability but strategic positioning. Not authentic change but fear of consequences. And you'll be able to smile, wish wellness, and keep walking in the direction of everything that was interrupted but couldn't be stopped. You were right about the envious watchers. You were right about the hidden agendas. You were right about the betrayal you felt before proof existed. You were right about the toxic influences operating behind the scenes. You were right about the manipulation that everyone else called love. You were right about needing to walk away when everyone else said staying was required. You were right, chosen one, about all of it. And now the world is about to see what you already knew. Stand in your power. Trust your journey. Protect your peace. The vindication you've been waiting for isn't coming.